Hi there, welcome to my Bellied Toad Paludarium video. There's going to be a lot of stills in here. It's my first video I've done any editing in, so please bear with me. So initially we started off with the 3-foot tank we got cheap from Marketplace. We're sort of following the principles set by other YouTubers like Surfer Design or John's Rainforest Room. If you haven't seen those guys, please check them out. So we've attached the egg crate together using cable ties. And there's a little bit of sort of extra plastic sticking out. So here's my partner Amy just melting that away, tidy things up. If you're going to do that, make sure you do it outside or somewhere well ventilated, because it does give off some fumes. You can also see here we've got a fine mesh that's going to go around the base, and that's to keep the critters from going in and getting trapped under the base. So the main structure that was going to be the landmass certainly was made of acrylic, slightly differently to how I've seen other YouTubers and other people do it. I wanted the background and the landmass to be removable. Whether I do this again, I don't know, because it was quite a faff. So here we see me just sealing up the gaps to hopefully create a watertight seal. So you can see we drilled 2 holes in the side. That's to allow water from the drainage layer, should it become waterlogged, to exit the landmass and go into the water below. We glued all this together with super glue, hot glue, silicone. We threw everything we had at it. The cutting of it wasn't easy at all. It wasn't tidy. It was a bit of a headache, really. That there's a jerry can, which we made a filter out of, which you'll see more of shortly. So this is the sort of plan we put on some polystyrene for the background. Whether we stick to that out, I don't know, but it's good to have a rough idea of what you're doing. Here you can see all the sort of rocks that we created with a hot knife in the polystyrene. The front and the filter there are made out of expanding foam. Didn't get on very well with the expanding foam. This stuff sort of came out pretty globby and gloopy and was hard to work with. But you've got to carve the exterior of it off to allow things to adhere to it, because otherwise it's too glossy and it won't. So the materials we've used, this is touch and foam, expanding foam for ponds. It's fish safe, animal safe. The silicone we've used, proper aquarium silicone, either it's black or clear, but you've got to use the right stuff. After this point, you can go a few ways: grout, cement, dry lock if you're in America. Most people use just silicone and cocoa fibre, it would seem. A slight worry here is that I've seen other YouTubers using products that contain biocides. They seem absolutely oblivious to the potential dangers to their livestock. They may get away with it for a short period of time, but ultimately it's going to have an effect if the animal's trapped in a vivarium or terrarium with their entire environment coated in biocides. Just do your research, make sure you get the stuff that's right for your animal every time. And we've gone with a concrete covering. So there's a thin layer of cement first, and then a little bit more sand in each mix, going up to about 4 mixes. You want to make any of your indentations or cuts quite deep in this, because each layer removes definition. Here you can see the lid for the filter being made. The cling film at the base is to stop it sticking to the base. It worked quite well, actually. So this is after we've done the cementing. This was a sort of trial run to make sure that the water flowed in principle. See it coming out the gap there in the filter. It's coming from a small aquarium pump just on the left there, going up that pipe and into the top. Quite happy with how it looked at this point, but we had a bit of a nightmare on the following stage. So the following stage was trying to leach the alkalinity out of the cement, so our pH didn't shoot up when we had livestock in the tank. So we did several soaks. We started off in the house, but it was taking up my whole dining room, so I moved it all out to an outdoor tank. But as you can see here, they're floating around and bobbing into things. The cement sort of cracked in places. Sorted that out with a bit of silicone at the end, but it wasn't ideal. We must have done about 50 water changes over 5 or 6 weeks. It was just a nightmare. We were going to seal it anyway in the end with G4 pond sealer, so it shouldn't have been a problem, but sort of wanted to be belt and braces. I think the pH did come down a bit, but it certainly didn't get to a neutral point, so it did definitely need the sealing afterwards, but that made it safe. So you can see that's when the painting before the sealing. So we painted it all a dark colour, then sort of white highlights or lighter highlights. I would say if you're sealing with G4 pond sealer, you really need to use bright highlights, as the G4 makes everything that little bit darker when you're finished. You can also see here, it gives a sort of brown tinge, and in the final layers we put some sand in to try and get rid of the glossy look. Following on from that, we then used black silicone in between the rocks, should we say, and stuffed cocoa fibre into them, just to give a bit of variation in the background, I suppose. There you can see it all sort of set up, basically. Java fern in the front. Gone with epiphytic plants, try and keep things simple. There's the filter, the alpha grogs in the yellow bags. You've got the sponges that go on the left. So this will show you the whole sort of setup without small bits of deco. There's a small aquarium pump again, pumping the water up to the left there. The gap's still small there. We had to widen the gap after because the G4 pond sealer made it smaller when we'd sealed it, and we weren't getting the water flow out that we required. So there's the water trickling in. So there'll be sponges going on that left hand side. On the right hand side there, we'll have the alpha grog in bags, a little shelf with egg crate in the bottom, just keep everything off the bottom and allow water to flow easily between the two compartments. Don't know a lot about aquariums, but I hope the principles here are effective. And here you get to see a rear picture of me just checking out the flow and how everything is going in there. So yeah, at this point I was really happy. Oh, you can see we've changed the aquarium filter there for just a little water pump. This is just before we put the sand in. Amy in the bath washing sand. She loves all these strange things. Sat in the bath washing sand, baking leaves, baking bits of wood. She's very tolerant, and I'm very lucky to have her. And also she likes to help with the crafty side of things. Yeah, we washed the sand before putting in. It was good. Got to be careful you don't wash your sand away, if you know what I mean, and just get all the dirt off it. But it's worth doing, so you haven't got a murky tank at the end of it. And this is pretty much the finished product. We've got some white cloud mountain minnow in there, a few shrimps. We've now got ramshorn snails in there as well as cleanup crew. We also have a lid, which is advisable. A friend of mine who's a welder fabricator made that for me. And here we are today. A few additions, a few changes. You see planting on the land, baby tears, that's gone pretty mad. Moved some mosses around. The filter just trickling away there. We need to sort out the flow on that actually. But I think that's because of a little bit of Solvinia that we've got floating around. Still causing us a few issues with the filter. So the green box you can see with the stone on in the right, that's the new intake. It's got sponges surrounding a small water pump. I think 200 litre per hour pump. And then pipe runs in front of the landmass into the top of the thing. This is the lid I've been on about. I've neglected that previously. It was custom made by a friend of mine, just slotted in. Filed a little hole in the side for the wire for the pump. We've got a night crew light on top. Pretty cheap. Seems to do the job for the plants though. You see a few of the toads floating around. So that about wraps up the video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's given you some ideas. I'm sure I've missed lots, so any questions, just comment below and I'll try and get back to you.